you want to appeal to the emotions of the student, so there's an emotional connection that you're trying to make, and you want to try and relate it to the student's context. So, if you're talking about engineering, for example, I might want to relate it to a Formula One car because I know that students are inspired by that sort of thing. So it relates to emotion, motivation, inspiration.
I think it would be wonderful if you could use photography as a different medium, as an alternative to the essay or to the poster. I think it would certainly benefit those students whose talent is not in essay writing.
And also you can incorporate both of them, can't you? Because at the moment in a maths assignment we're doing, it would actually be quite nice to have some pictures, digital pictures of what we're doing.
There is still a tendency to pack slides with words, there's no doubt about that. And I think that I'm beginning to see a change, but how far that's spread I don't know. And I think if you talk to students, the students I know tend to react more to the slides that have less words, do have images.
When I teach, what I really like to do is I like to make sure that everybody in the teaching experience feels that they're part of that, they're actively involved in the learning experience. And so if I actually take photographs of the participants in the session and I give them that image, they're immediately bringing themselves into that situation. So in a session, I often, as they come into the classroom, I quickly go around, and it means I introduce myself to each of the people walking in the room. And I say hello, and within mind, I quickly took a photograph, and I show them on the back of my camera. And I very, very quickly at the beginning of the session, I just load them onto my laptop and I print out black and white copies of them, and I give them out to the participants. And they use that as a starting point for perhaps describing to me their professional identity or describing some aspect of their practice. And of course the process that they go through maybe is in they might draw on it or cut their photograph up, or they might add other materials, make a sort of collage from it. And what I ask them to do very simply is to maybe, if they wish to alter that image in any way, to add something or take something away that would say something more about them. And then using a camera, they take another picture of it, and that is projected, and then they talk about the image that they've created. What I've been really interested to see is how often there's a blurring between the personal and the professional lives of individuals. Clearly, what we bring from our personal lives, maybe our love of fashion, of handbags, of shoes, or our love of sport, football, whatever, does actually blur into the professional lives because it's something about who we are. And so I often find with the images that people choose maybe some pictures from magazines which they cut out and they add to their portrait. And that's such a strong starting point, particularly maybe if you're going to introduce yourself to everybody else in the group. A much stronger starting point than if I just ask everybody to go around the room and say, hello, my name is so-and-so and this is what I do. You're now actually showing an image that you've created. There are so many ways now that you can use a digital camera as a tool for teaching. But I'm getting more and more excited about the use of video cameras, and many teachers now are using digital cameras to capture the moment of learning. So the video that is created can be shared directly with the student at the time, or they can take it away with them, or they can perhaps create that video themselves using a mobile phone or a digital camera. And that's a wonderful way of getting them to reflect and engage in a conversation about that learning.
Well, 5 years' time, I think there'll be much more online learning than there is now, for a start. I mean, we're already exploring distance learning, and in terms of being able to present work when you're not there in person, the digital camera and the ability to photograph work in progress and photograph your work for assessment is obviously going to be a really key factor.
So I can imagine lecturers being much more skilled at image manipulation, and therefore they'll be using, as it's easier to use, they'll be using them more in their lectures.
I think everyone will be using laptops, especially in lectures, just to type up notes or even have the slideshow there and just adding notes to it.
I think networking will be made easier because technology would have moved on and perhaps there wouldn't be cables, it'd be Bluetooth.
I believe there'll be a lot more photographs in assignments.
And I also think that photographs will be much more part of academic language and be a way in which we share our thinking academically and represent it in forms such as in dissertations.
Who knows in 5 years what I'll be able to do with it? I'll probably be able to turn it into a meal or something, so I'm looking forward to that.